Hello everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to another Star Wars Jedi Survivor tips and tricks video. Now I've made two previous tips and tricks videos, so if you guys enjoy this one and you need some more tips in your life, then be sure to go back and check out those two. But in today's video I have even more tips and tricks that a lot of you guys probably aren't aware of, and hopefully these tips will help you guys out in your adventures. So jumping right into the tips, the very first tip that I have for you all has to do with the Holotable minigame. Now when you're playing this minigame, you will unlock different opponents when you go off exploring and recruiting different members of the Cantina, and some of these Holotable minigames can actually be quite difficult, and you're definitely going to want to play and beat the minigame because this is where you can unlock some of the different cosmetics, and you can even earn yourself a perk slot. But some of the levels can be pretty tricky, so I have the surefire way to win every single encounter you have at the Holotable, and all you have to do is play the Droidica. Now, I've played all of the Holotable games in multiple ways. I've tried a bunch of different variations, but what I discovered is that the Droidicas will absolutely dominate everything that they go up against. I don't think the developers tested out this mode very much because the Droidicas are very strong against you, the main player, and I don't think they took into consideration the Droidicas fighting other NPCs. So the Droidicas obviously have their shields, so anything at a distance is going to have a hard time taking out their shields, and then anything that gets up close to the Droidica, it will simply just roll away or use its melee ability and bash into the enemies. And then when you're playing on the later rounds of the Holotable game, if you have multiple Droidicas at the same time, they will just shred through all of your enemies every single wave. So to beat all the Holotable games, just wait until you progress far enough in the main story that you face the Droidica in combat, and then once you scan the Droidica with BD1, they will become available in the Holotable. So the next tip is a simple one, but it's one that could be very easily overlooked, and it's to return back to the Cantina pretty often, and make sure you talk to all of the NPCs until they have nothing left to say. Now I say this because sometimes the NPCs have hidden dialogue where they will unlock a side quest for you. I couldn't tell you how many times I talked to an NPC just once or twice, and then they didn't give me anything, so I just continued on with my adventure, just to find out later on that if you talk to them over and over and over again, sometimes it's not until their final line of dialogue where they will give you a side quest. So if you don't talk to every NPC in the Cantina until they run out of things to say, you're probably missing out on a number of different side objectives that could be showing up on your map. And if you're like me and you don't want to sit through all of the dialogue for every single character in the game, one thing you can do to speed up the process is to go into your in-game settings and go under the gameplay category, and then under the language and dialogue, go down to the dialogue line skipping button and make sure you turn this on. This will give you the option to skip forward in a lot of the dialogue. So for example, if you're talking to some random NPC and you don't care about what they say, but you just want to check to see if they have a side mission for you to do, you can just talk to them and then skip all their dialogue and receive the mission. So next up isn't really much of a tip, it's more of just a fact, but if you're ever watching a YouTuber or a streamer or your friend or whatever, you can tell what difficulty the person is playing the game on based on the number of dots down in the bottom left hand screen. One dot in the top left is for story mode, one dot on the top right is for Jedi Padawan mode, one dot on the bottom right is for Jedi Knight mode, and then one dot on the bottom left is for Jedi Master, and then a dot on both the bottom left and the top right stands for Jedi Grandmaster difficulty. So if someone's ever claiming that they're playing the game on the hardest difficulty, but you only see that they have one dot in the bottom corner, you'll know right away that they aren't telling the truth. So next up is a quick tip for those of you that want a really easy Stim upgrade. If you head over to Doma's shop and you buy her mystery key, it's going to cost you 10 of the shards, and this will give you the key to unlock the closet in her store, and then back there you will find yourself a free Stim upgrade. So this is one of the easiest Stim upgrades that you can find, so definitely take advantage of that. So the next tip is one that you guys might not be aware of, but it's that you can actually run a lot faster once you unlock the dash ability. Now I don't know if every player is like me and they just try to immediately get around the map as fast as possible, but as soon as I unlock the dash ability, I immediately incorporated it into everything I did. I am dashing everywhere I go now. I even did a side-by-side comparison test to see what was faster, just regularly sprinting or incorporating the dash into your sprint, and the dashing method was way faster than sprinting every single time I did the test. And I even did a time test in comparison to riding the Neko, and just running around dashing everywhere is about the same speed as if you're riding the Neko. So it takes a little bit of time of getting used to, but basically just think of it as skipping. You just want to sprint, jump, dash, and then when your feet touch the ground, you just jump and dash again. So you want to get into this pattern of just non-stop sprint dashing. And once you master this, you will be getting around the environment a lot faster. So the next tip is for facing enemies that you haven't encountered yet. Now normally when you face an enemy, you have to fight them the hard way, and then once you defeated them, you can scan them, and then it will tell you in the tactical guide how to defeat them in the future. Now a safer way to do this is if you actually use BD1 and you use the binoculars, you can scan new enemies at a safe distance, and then they will add their information to the tactical guide. So for example, if you see a boss fight coming up, and you know you've never faced this boss before, just scan them and then check out your tactical guide, and it will give you hints on how to defeat that new enemy. So next up is a huge tip that's going to make your life way easier for some of the late game content. Now when you get to the later parts of the game, you're going to be facing a lot of these giant DT Sentry droids. Now fortunately for you, there is a way that you can hack these droids and have them fight your battles for you, but if you want this ability, you're going to have to take a trip back over to Coruscant. Now once you progress far enough in the main story that you can use BD1 to shoot electricity and unlock certain puzzles, you will come back to Coruscant, and right away after the very first meditation point right outside of the Mantis, you just go up an elevator, and right around the corner there is a door. Then you're going to be facing the legendary DL1T Sentry droid. Now this droid is no joke, so be prepared for a pretty tough battle, but once you do kill him, once you go into his room, you will hack a terminal, and this will give you the ability to hack these droids in the future. And since you have the ability to shoot electricity with BD1, you can now safely hack these droids from a distance, and you don't even have to engage them in a fight. So trust me, you're definitely going to want to take a trip to Coruscant before you start a lot of the in-game content, because you're going to be facing a lot of these new Sentry droids. So the final tip that I have for you guys in today's video is about how to get XP the fastest way possible. Now at some point you might want to farm some XP, maybe you want an extra perk so you can unlock a new ability that you want, maybe you're getting ready for New Game Plus and you want to go into it having as many skills unlocked as possible. Who knows what your reasoning is, but the best possible way that you can farm XP is by going to Z's shop in the cantina and purchasing the Wisdom perk for 5 data discs. Now what this does is when you have it equipped, you will gain more experience from defeating enemies. So this is going to work really good when you're doing some XP farming. But it doesn't stop there, because there's actually a second, even more powerful XP perk that you can get over on Jedha. If you head over to the Trailhead Pantheon region, you're going to want to go to the Crypt of Irma meditation point. Now you're going to come across this by playing the main story, but you're not going to be able to get this perk unless you return at a later point in the game. But once you're here, just follow the path that I take on screen now. There's a couple jumping puzzles that you're going to have to do, but you want to make your way down into the crypt where there's a bunch of like bugs and beetles and stuff you have to kill, but you want to make your way over to this secret wall with a bunch of pillars. Now there's a passcode that you have to type in to get this door to activate. It's pretty simple. So on the top row, you want to pull the far left and the far right pillars, and then on the bottom row, you want to pull the 2 innermost pillars. So once you've done that, you will unlock the secret passageway where you will find yet another Stim upgrade, which is always pretty handy. And then as you continue on through the tunnel, you will come across a laser wall, go through the laser wall, and then you will encounter a legendary creature boss fight, kill the boss, and then claim the Force Essence, and then the Force Essence will give you the Gambler perk. Now the Gambler perk is going to take up 4 of your perk slots, but what it does is it increases the experience gained, but you may no longer restore your XP after dying, which normally would be a pretty big gamble, but in this scenario, you're just going to do some XP farming, so who cares if you die, it's not a big deal. So for the ultimate XP farm strategy, you want to combine the Gambler perk with the Wisdom perk, and both of these XP perks will stack on top of each other, and the amount of XP you gain is going to be absolutely insane. But don't worry, if you don't have enough slots to use both perks at the same time, time, you can still use one or the other, but the results are just going to be a lot slower. Now, as for the XP farm itself, you want to head over to Kobo, and you want to travel to the Fort Callan meditation point. Once you get here, you just follow the path that I take on screen. You want to hop up into this little hole, and then you want to run across the bridges over to this area where you fight the spawn of Ogdo. But for this farm, we're not going to be fighting any bosses. What we actually want to do is hop over here behind this little crate, and when we're positioned here, you're going to see two giant dudes with big hammers up on top of the bridge. Now, in this position, the battle droids shouldn't be able to shoot you, but you can force pull the guys off the bridge, and when you do so, it should instantly kill them when they fall off and hit the ground. And to make life way easier, if you're going to be doing an XP farm, it's best to put the game difficulty down to story mode. That way you're not as likely to die. And if you have the gambler perk and the wisdom perk activated, and you just continuously keep pulling these two hammer dudes off of the bridge, and then you go back and rest and just wash, rinse, repeat, you do this over and over again, and you will have all of your perks and abilities in this game unlocked in no time. So that is going to do it for all the tips and tricks that I have for you guys in today's video. If this video helped you out, then please hit that subscribe button and hit the bell for notifications. And like I said earlier, if you guys want to see more tips and tricks, I made 2 previous tips and tricks videos, so you guys can check those out if you need some more tips. And that is going to do it for me, everyone, and I will talk to you all in the next video.